Hello, we're going to take you on a ride today through the historic district here of Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, of course, famous as the original settlement in the Georgia colony, and in later years known for Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. This is, like I said, the historic district. Lots of different places to stay, some nice hotels, some limited service hotels, lots of different choices for those with different needs and different budgets. Over to our right here is the upper side of River Street. We'll be going down that way in a moment. Several entrances here on River Street, but for right now we're going to stay up here. Several chain restaurants, but you know, my take on traveling is when you're traveling somewhere that's got good places to eat, stay away from the chains. Go with what you can find locally, and there's a lot of good local places here in Savannah to eat. One really good place that's not downtown but out on Tybee Island is the Crab Shack. We ate there last night. Very good seafood if you like seafood, and low country boils, things like that, crabs, shrimp. Very cool setting out by the water. Definitely would recommend that if you're here in Savannah. Look over here, you got a lot of the Spanish moss. It's one of the charming things of the South. So we're going to continue on down here. Let's see, what is the name of this street? I never can remember it. Bay Street, I believe. Now we're crossing famous Bull Street here. Lots of squares in Savannah. If you go back to the left here, if we turned and gone back into there, lots of really cool squares to walk in. If you've ever seen Forrest Gump, the bench that he sits on waiting on the bus is Chippewa Square. It's on Bull Street, a couple of squares up from Bay Street here. Here's the back side, some boutique hotels over here facing River Street on one side and the park area here on the other. Definitely a great town to visit. I'm a native Georgian, so sometimes for me, take it for granted, but then sometimes I'm a little surprised that, hey, yeah, I'm still in Georgia. It's very different from Atlanta. Very, very different place from Atlanta. It's definitely one of the best destinations in the state of Georgia to visit. We're going to come down here in just a few, another block or so. We're going to turn down on River Street. Here's the Hilton Garden Inn. That's where we stayed last night. I've stayed here several times on my trips to Savannah. It's a good balance of location, not too pricey, and you know, but a nice place to stay. So. All right, we're going to come down here onto the MLK ramp down onto River Street. River Street is much as it used to be back in the day. Still cobblestone, pretty rough, but a definite place that you want to check out when you're here in Savannah. Sort of, I like to think of it as sort of a tame Bourbon Street. It's definitely a place that you should come and check out, come visit. By the way, there's the Talmadge Bridge over the Savannah River. That was rebuilt in the 80s when the original bridge that you might have seen the footings there was hit by I believe it was a container ship. They rebuilt it. It's much taller now, and they've been a lot of talk about dredging the river to allow the new super large container ships that come into the port. The port's up along that, up beyond that ridge, and Savannah's a big port. It's a big economic driver for the state of Georgia. So we're coming onto River Street here. Still cobblestone. I spent some time in Savannah as a kid in the 80s, and it really hasn't changed much down here. It's still as charming as it was back then. I think I appreciate it more as an adult. Come down through a lot of little restaurants and shops, and like I said, it's definitely a very cool place, lively, stuff to see and do down at night, but it's not nearly as crazy as a place like Bourbon Street. You can bring the family and not have to worry about anything. It's certainly family friendly down here. So don't hesitate to bring the kids down to Bourbon Street or to River Street. You find some good places to eat. You can walk along the river. There's a paddle wheeler we'll see here in a minute that you can take a river ride. I don't know if that's at night or during the day. There's some more of the restaurants. You get some of these ramps that come down from Bay Street. It looks much as it did back in the day, I would think, from the pictures I've seen and from what I've read. This hasn't changed a lot since James Oglethorpe founded it. And the tall ships would come into Savannah back in the day, and what they'd see then is somewhat similar to what they'd see now. The old buildings coming down onto the street, a little bit of town, which has obviously grown a lot over the years. This here's the Hyatt. It's a really nice place here in Savannah. It comes out over River Street. Definitely an option for those of you that are here. Those of you that are Hyatt Reward Members guest or whatever their program name is. I always thought it was pretty cool that the hotel was out over the street. Hopefully the video is not too shaky. Not a lot can be done here on this street, but it's pretty cool. There's the paddle wheel ships. You can just take a touristy ride on that. There's also a water taxi. The Susie King Taylor water taxi over there looks like a tugboat. It's a ferry. It goes across to the convention center that's on Hutchinson Island. Weston's across the river over there. Or you can take a ride on the Savannah River on the paddle wheelers. I did that on a trip a couple of years ago. It was really interesting. They take you up. They show you some of the industrial areas, some of the port, and then they take you downriver, and you get to see some of the historical forts, some of the Waving Lady statue. If you've heard about that in Savannah, look that up. That's an interesting ride. Definitely recommend that. It'd been all the years I'd come to Savannah, I'd never done it, and I'm glad I did. You can definitely drive this street. This is not closed off to traffic. So when you're down here at night walking around the crowd, don't just step out into the street. There are cars that come down through here. So don't make the mistake of thinking it's a closed street. It is a working street. This is Huey's over here. Sort of a Cajun place. You can get some beignets in there, and if you like New Orleans type food, they got stuff in there that'll feed you there. Bernie's Oyster House. There's the Weston over there through the trees. And the convention center's on that island right beside it. I always think it's interesting to come on these tourist type streets earlier in the day when it's sort of a normal street and you see some of the normal activities that are part of the day-to-day operations of a town. Here's one of the several candy places down here serving chocolates and pralines and things like that. This one's the Savannah Candy Kitchen. There's another one up there. River Street Sweets, I think, is the other one. A couple of those up through here. Lots of seafood. And unfortunately, the ride will smooth out a little here. We get into some pavement along the old trolley tracks. I don't know when they stopped running the trolley through here. I haven't seen a trolley through here. I don't even remember if they had this when I was a kid. So I'm not sure how long it's been since they ran trolleys through here. Over here on the left are some newer buildings that were built. Don't know exactly when, but I can certainly remember a time when they were not here. Coming down to the far end of River Street. Savannah's avoided a lot of the damage of some coastal cities due to hurricanes. In my lifetime, I don't really remember a major hurricane hitting Savannah. So Savannah's never really had to recover, at least in my lifetime, from a major hurricane. So anyways, we're coming down to the end of our tour here. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give me a thumbs up here at the bottom of the video. Leave any comments you have about anything that you've seen when you've been in Savannah, or any questions you have. I've been here numerous times. I'll do my best to answer them. Subscribe to my channel, Debrian Travels. Check out my blog at Debrian Travels, www.hermantalmadgebridge.com. I've got a good video on there of Bourbon Street, driving down Bourbon Street in the morning when it was not at its lively, famous self. So check that out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the next of our travel destination.